Okay, so have you ever heard of a news blackout? Like a total media blackout,
Sure.
but for 5 years.
Yeah, that's a long
That's
time.
pretty wild, right? That's what happened with eNCA,
Wow.
which, if you don't know, is South Africa's, biggest TV news channel,
Yeah.
and the EFF,
Uh-huh.
a political party that, well, let's just say they always keep things interesting.
Always in the headlines, one way or another.
Right. So we're going to deep dive into this whole story.
Sounds juicy.
It really is. And
Yeah.
we've got a great piece from TV with Finest to help us break it down.
Okay, cool.
So to set the scene a little bit,
Yeah.
we got to go back to 2019,
Back in the day.
right? Back when things went really south between eNCA and the EFF.
Okay, what happened?
Well, it all went down at the EFF's National People's Assembly.
Ah, yes, their big conference.
Exactly. And, these events are always huge news in South Africa.
Why is that?
Well, the EFF, they're a party that's all about pushing for economic change,
I see.
social justice.
Right.
They're really vocal about challenging the status quo.
Right, so their conferences are kind of a platform for them to set their agenda.
Exactly. And sometimes things get a little well heated.
A little spicy.
That's a good word for it. And in 2019, we saw a prime example of that.
Okay, lay it on me.
So picture this. You've got Julius Malema.
The leader of the EFF.
Right. He's on stage at the assembly, and he just unloads on this eNCA reporter. He straight up calls her a stupid journalist.
In front of everyone.
In front of everyone.
That's got to sting.
It was a total mic drop moment. And, Malema, he's not exactly known for holding back.
He's definitely got a reputation.
But this was different. This wasn't just, some off-the-cuff remark.
It felt deliberate.
It felt like a very calculated move to kind of discredit eNCA.
Almost like he was trying to control the narrative.
Exactly, to paint them as the enemy.
Interesting. And you said that eNCA wasn't the only media outlet that got the boot.
Right. They weren't. The EFF actually banned a bunch of other outlets from the assembly, too.
So they were really trying to control who was reporting on them.
It seems that way.
Very strategic.
So eNCA, they pull out of the assembly,
Makes sense.
citing both the insult to their reporter and this, wider ban on other media.
So they're basically saying, we're not going to stand for this kind of treatment.
Exactly. And then, boom, the blackout begins.
5 years of silence. That's a bold move for a news channel.
It's unprecedented, right? It makes you think, did eNCA's decision to withdraw actually play into the EFF's hands?
How so?
Well, by, giving them more control over their image,
Ah, I see. Because if there's less coverage, there's less scrutiny.
Right. And that raises some pretty big questions.
About what?
About media freedom,
Mm-hmm.
about potential bias,
Sure.
and most importantly, the public's right to information.
That's a big one.
When a major news channel goes silent on a political party,
Yeah, especially one as influential as the EFF.
it really makes you wonder, are viewers getting the full story?
Right. Are there certain viewpoints that are being left out?
Exactly. And then out of the blue, after 5 years, poof.
They make up.
Not exactly, but there's this joint statement from eNCA and the EFF.
Really? Saying what?
Well, they call the 2019 decision unfortunate,
Playing it safe.
right, and talk about overcoming an impasse.
Diplomatic.
Lots of talk about, mutual respect
Yeah.
and collaboration.
But no apology.
No, not single apology from either side.
It's like they're trying to smooth things over without actually admitting any fault.
Right. Very carefully worded, very strategic.
Definitely. And what's interesting is that eNCA, they didn't issue a separate statement on their own platform.
Yeah, just a joint one.
Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe they're trying to avoid, stirring up more controversy.
Yeah, just let the joint statement speak for itself.
Or maybe they're just being cautious.
Waiting to see how things play out.
Yeah, seeing how this, renewed relationship with the EFF goes before they make any bold pronouncements.
Makes sense.
And, the timing of this whole reconciliation thing.
Right before the EFF's next big assembly.
Exactly. It's almost like they needed to clear the air before the main event
To avoid any awkward encounters.
to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Interesting. So it sets the stage for some really big questions going forward.
Like what?
Well, will eNCA's coverage of the EFF actually be different this time around?
That's the big one, right?
Will be more balanced, more transparent?
Or are they still going to be tiptoeing around certain issues?
I'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. And that's where you come in, dear listener.
Oh, right.
You get to be the judge. You have a front row seat to this whole fascinating saga of media and politics.
Think of it like a real-time case study.
Right as you follow eNCA's coverage of the upcoming EFF assembly.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Pay attention to how they're reporting on things.
Are they holding the EFF accountable?
Are they asking tough questions?
Or are they shying away from certain topics?
And most importantly,
don't just passively consume the news.
Right. Be critical. Think for yourself.
Analyze what you're seeing and hearing.
Consider the motivations of both eNCA and the EFF.
And then form your own informed opinion.
Because this story,
It's far from over.
and you get to be part of it.
That's exciting.
It is?
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me neither.